Fox News alert, the U.S. and Iran at war. American forces are expanding their strikes on Iranian targets after 3 American service members were killed in Iranian attacks on Jordan and Iraq. A United States ally, Kuwait, now says it is confronting the incoming missile and drone attacks following what it's calling sinful Iranian aggression. All 3 of those countries are home to military bases. We know that. And we know Iran likes to kill our military personnel on them. We have a lot to protect, a lot at stake today. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. The Department of War has identified 2 service members killed in that Jordan attack by Iran. 19-year-old Private Isabella Gonzalez of Texas. We have her picture. And 25-year-old First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan of Hawaii. Remains recovered at the site of that attack are being examined to determine if they belong to, in fact, a 3rd unaccounted for service member. When we get more pictures to show you of the sacrifice of these 3, we'll share them. President Trump here.
We hit him very hard again tonight, and we did that in honor of the probably 3, it's probably 3 as opposed to 2 great patriots.
Well, Operation Epic Fury began months ago. The goal then, and presumably now, although you can add the Strait of Hormuz to it, is to destroy Iran's missile production and prevent the rogue radical regime from ever having nuclear weapons. One retired brigadier general says this is about the importance of taking on Iran.
Iran has been doing this, attacking Americans and our interests for the last 47 years. I've been at the receiving end of some of those strikes from Iranian-aligned groups, and it's just a good reminder that that regime has not changed since the beginning of this war. Their #1 priority is and always has been to kill Americans, and it's now time to stay in place and to finish the job.
Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano joins me in moments. I first want to start with Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst with the latest from the Middle East. Trey.
Harris, good morning. Sirens sounded last hour in both Kuwait and Bahrain amid new incoming Iranian missile and drone attacks. This does follow the 9th consecutive night of U.S. strikes against the Iranian regime. According to CENTCOM, a variety of targets were hit, including military command centers, air defense and coastal surveillance sites, maritime capabilities, and missile and drone launch positions. These strikes do come after 3 U.S. service members were killed by an Iranian ballistic missile attack in Jordan on Friday. The U.S. military is working to identify the remains believed to be the 3rd soldier. Now, a 4th soldier was killed in northern Iraq during a controlled detonation of an unexploded Iranian drone over the weekend. President Trump reacted to the deaths of these soldiers on Sunday.
We feel very badly, but you know, those great people, those great patriots were out there fighting that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran has been very, very badly damaged. They've lost everything almost militarily. We control the Strait. They don't control anything. So we'll see what happens.
President Trump told Fox News last week that if Iran doesn't reach a deal, strikes will escalate this week to hit power plants and bridges. Iranian officials have indicated that some new proposals are being discussed.
Proposals have been put forward by the mediators. They have been conveyed to us, and we have received them. But for now, allow me not to go into details. What can I confirm? That in recent days, the diplomatic apparatus has remained active, and that ideas have indeed been conveyed to us by several mediators.
The Iranians are saying publicly that the Memorandum of Understanding is suspended. Regional countries are reportedly pushing for another agreement, as Secretary of State Marco Rubio indicated the diplomatic path forward remains open.
I think we're always open to diplomacy. It has to be real. It has to be a deal that they're willing to live by. Look, Iran a week ago was supposed to put out a statement saying that the Straits of Hormuz would be open, that they would no longer attack shipping. And instead of doing that, they attacked 3 ships. I think that was last Friday or Saturday. So, I mean, their behavior has to change in order for ours to change.
Here in Israel, the military remains on high alert. Just yesterday, Israeli missile interceptors were launched toward debris from an Iranian missile that was landing toward the southern city of Eilat. The Iranians were targeting the southern Jordanian city of Aqaba. Harris?
All right, Trey, I'm glad you're in the region, as always, with your great reporting. Appreciate it. Retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano, 25 years in the U.S. military as in Army. A veteran and senior counselor now to the Heritage Foundation president. You joined me live recently when we were broadcasting just ahead of the 4th of July, and the tall ships were starting to come in on the Hudson River. And that's really when I learned a lot about your military strategy, more than I had ever known. So I'm so grateful to you to join us on this day. This war is now ratcheted up. We could see it coming. The president promised if Iran didn't come to the deal or come to the table to do a deal. How do you categorize this day?
Yeah. So first I would go back to something I said when we were together before the 4th of July, which was, and people say, well, why does the president just go in and finish it? Why don't we do more of this? And because the president doesn't want to waste lives. I mean, we tragically lost some American in uniform because they're always at risk. So here's the good news, which is the strikes were relatively limited. The way they did this was relatively novel, that they had a successful strike. I'm pretty sure the U.S. is going to adjust for that, so they won't be able to do that again. And what's really important is all of our regional allies are even more with us than ever. So, and that's, I think, really important. And then the most important thing is, look, I mean, we went from saying the big deal is the Iranians can close the strait to then be saying, well, they can interdict the strait. And now they're rapidly losing the capacity to do that. So the longer they fight this war, the worse off they are. And the most important thing is, look at what a hole they're digging themselves in. Now they've got to rebuild bridges, power plants, all their military. I mean, to get back to where they were a year ago, that is just going to take forever.
Look, I have a couple of questions that just have to do with getting the job done in whatever amount of time it would take. And everybody roots for quickly. I'm certain we don't want to see any loss of life. I mean, the president says that on all sides. We don't want any loss of life, especially not our own as American citizens. But you talk about the Gulf and everybody being on our sides in terms that you got the Abraham Accords, got a lot of partners, now friends in the region. When they take incoming, though, it's a lot different than us. Their militaries are not our military. And our protection mission just got bigger.
Right. And we are seeing a rapidly increasing capacity in the region for countries to protect themselves. And what's really interesting is working with Israel and seeing Israeli capabilities being brought to the table. But again, a lot of this is there's a much diminished capacity on the part of the Iranians to do anything. This has enormous long-term consequences. These people are never, as long as that regime is there, they are never going to trust this regime again. So these countries will work together in the future to build up deterrence against future Iranian threats. I'm really sure of that.
Yeah, and that took me right to my second question. You did it. We know we can't trust them. Like, we know. They've shown us many times who they really are. Now everybody in the region says, well, wait a minute. We don't want to sink money and time and resources into something that's also not going to bear fruit. Who do you deal with on the ground in Iran?
Well, I don't know. The important thing is you deal with the things you can deal with. What we can do is really build up the deterrent force against that. So, for example, we are in Iraq in a way that we have not been since the early days of the war. We have an Iraqi government which is cooperating with the United States more than ever. We just sealed a huge oil deal with them to bring more resiliency to the oil industry in the region. They are working to kick the Iranian militias, diminish them and get them out of the countries. This was unthinkable 4 or 5 years ago. So I know people are fixated by the losses, which are terrible, and how long this is take, but our position in the region is the strongest that it's been since the end of World War II. I mean, we have been dealing with this from Jimmy Carter. Since the days of Jimmy Carter, we have never had a position in the region this strong to create a better future for the region. And then that means less trouble for us, less work for us, safe for America. And I just think that this is the price we are paying. Trust me, it is going to pay off for decades.
An Iranian-American academic identified as a regime mouthpiece says that Tehran, the capital of Iran, wants U.S. troops on the ground in Iran. Watch this.
the focus of Iranian strikes are on Bahrain and Kuwait, and that's because that's where most of the American assets have been placed for a ground invasion. The Iranians, we discussed this during the 40-day war before on your show when I said that the Iranians actually want the Americans to carry out a land invasion, and the same is true now because they felt that if there was a land invasion, they would win.
My dad said one of the lessons that you learn from wars like Vietnam is that some people just like to fight. And while the communists in that war, my dad would say, may have had a vision, the one that we were clear-eyed on was they wanted to kill and they wanted to fight, which is why it was so hard. Your take on what was just said in that clip?
Yeah, you don't fight the war the enemy wants, right? This is a country that's the size of Texas. We could put every American in uniform in the middle of Iran, and we could not control that country. So the idea that we're going to go invade this thing, that's just nuts. We're not going to fight them on their terms. That's just stupid. And then when they try to bring the fight to us like they have, what do they get in return? They get absolutely decimated. So I don't see this administration changing course. You know, again, we've talked about regime change. It brings all other kinds of challenges and things. And the point is we don't know the dollar figure or the life figure that, you know, what would it take to get to regime change? We don't know that. So that's, I don't think, a credible goal for the U.S. But the U.S. can do what it's doing now, which is completely eliminating their capacity to interdict the straits. They've taken nuclear weapons off the table. The country can't build a nuclear weapon. Their arsenals are shadow. As a matter of fact, these attacks show, actually, that Iran cannot threaten the reign of death, that it literally could have threatened a country with a year ago. And what have we heard? What have we heard from the surrogates, the Hamas, Hezbollah, and everybody else? I mean, they're just sitting on their hands, and which is exactly what we want. So look, I think we're in good shape.
With just a couple seconds here, I'm going to ask my team to put up the names of the men and women in uniform we have lost since the beginning of Operation Epic Fury, and also the missions beyond that in terms of the Strait of Hormuz. 143 days of war, and we just want to put up their pictures. You'll see a couple people are not added there. We know that we have the remains that are being tested, and then one person missing from the Iraq and the Jordan attacks just overnight and into today. So I just want to keep everybody clear-eyed on who's sacrificing for us and to show our gratitude. And a last word from you.
Yeah, I never served in combat, but I lost people in training accidents to illness, and it really hurts. And the first thing you think about is these are family members, and then the only way you really put the hurt aside is you say these people volunteered to serve their country, and they knew that they might die for that. And you just have to have so much admiration for them and their families and the sacrifices they made, and that's the only thing that brings any positiveness at all to those losses.
Oh, I can feel your pain. I appreciate you. Thank you for being with us. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.